Hello, it's very late in the night, I was about to go to bed, and before I go to bed I usually check out the upcoming games, and usually I also check the games that I'm kind of excited about and I want to play. And I was looking at Gothic 1, Gothic 1 has had a lot of demos over the years. They've been promoting this remake for 5 years or something crazy like that. They had a lot of demos, they had influencer demos, public demos, and whatever this weird prologue is, and lately they published a combat demo and people were pretty happy about it. But I was looking at this and I was looking, it looks very well. I played Gothic a lot, and by a lot I mean probably 100 hours of Gothic 1, which is a number that people didn't really have in games in those times. Meaning about 20 years ago, you didn't play a game for 100 hours. You didn't have the time, and you were a bit crazy if you did that back then. Well, of course it depends on the game, but I'm really interested in this game and I really like the Gothic series. I even liked Gothic 4. I played all of them, I'm a big fan of the series. So you might be thinking, well, what happened? Why am I so upset and I had to make a video? And I usually make a video when it's related to gaming news and I put the webcam on. I saw a locked topic, and well, if you see a locked topic on Steam, you always click on it because that's the way these things work. So what is this all about? I think this will be a big problem. Again, I'm not trying to be toxic or insult the developers or do anything like that. I'm not telling you that you should buy the game, that you shouldn't buy the game. It's still your decision. So I just care about the game. I just care about gaming in general and cared about this game in particular. And I just wanted to say my opinion. And if I influence people to buy the game or to not buy the game, that's their own decision. It's about information and criticism of a game or feedback. It's about feedback for the game. Anyway, the game got modernized, so it sparked a lot of interest in the topic, and let's just read some of the comments and then I'll show you the pictures over here. Took it off the wish list. Female characters look modernized, androgynous and sterilized. Very okay. None of the paintings look medieval, like medieval art at all. And now you might be thinking, well, what is the problem with those pictures? And you'll see in a second. It's THQ Nordic Audio Spectators. Again, I was expecting some kind of censorship of the game, even though it's not really needed. Maybe it was needed for some ratings or something like that. They want to sell the game to a lot more people, which means they need to get a lower rating that is made for kids or something like that. So they had to remove certain things, and I agree with that. But you may be thinking, why is this such a big deal? You will see when you see the pictures. I don't even remember, but I specifically remembered about the game. I saw a few women a couple of times in the big castle, a few times in the old camp, and I was always thinking, hey, what if the developers have to remove them or change them? I thought, hey, it's not such a big deal because it was a small part of the game anyway. So the differences are night and day, so ugly. A red flag, this is not faithful, liar developers. As you can see, a lot of people were very, very upset. And people are getting banned, and I think a lot of topics will also be locked as well, because this will be a huge scandal in my opinion for the Gothic 1 remake. I mean, it was not going to be selling a lot of copies anyway, and most of the people who are going to buy the game were people who played the originals or the more recent versions or whatever they played. It doesn't really matter. As you can see, everyone is delisting, upset. So let's see the differences, because again, I don't have a problem if they just remove these characters or they modify them, but if you go from this, I'm not sure, this might be a high HD texture mode or something, but if you go from this to this, it's too much. It's too much of a big difference. They should have at least tried to make them look more in line with the vision for original game. I mean, yeah, people are very upset, and that's, I can agree with this. This is too much of a modification. Just remove the girls entirely and just mention them in the story, or do something else, but don't make them so ugly and so worthless and so there are some pictures I don't think wait a minute. I noticed once or twice that there was a huge painting above the throne with some of the ladies. Again, it's nothing, it's not too much, it's not something very bad, it's not like they're naked, they're just posing, and that's like medieval art. And then they had some weird pictures in the throne room like that. Apparently this is the new throne room, but that's a painting, a medieval painting of a bridge, are you kidding me? But not only did they remove an important part of the game because it was tied to the story, they actually modified probably everything related to that part of the game, meaning the way of life in the old camp, Gomez, his character, his personality, his throne room, because it was supposed to represent something bad, something evil that the player had to stop and remove. But now if you look at, what is this? Are these women his mates? They look like they're just mates, like they're treated with respect and dignity, and that you should probably join Gomez because he treats women very nicely and respect. What is this nonsense? This is clearly a huge change in the game, and this is not just about this particular scene, because if this is how the good-looking woman look in the game right now, then I don't want to play the game anymore. What's wrong with these developers? They're not changing small details, they're changing huge parts of the game. Yeah, and it seems like everyone is just saying the same thing more or less. I just wanted to have a little introduction to this because I'm upset. I don't want to make gaming news videos, but stuff like this really upsets me lately because we don't have a lot of games, and the remakes are just destroying the games themselves. What happens if this remake fails? That means we'll never get a Gothic 5, that means Piranha Byte also closed down recently because their Elex 2 game was a disaster, so it's not like they're going to make the Gothic IP again, and they also didn't have the rights for the game anymore anyway. But they'll probably end up destroying one of the most beloved IPs in gaming history just because they want to appease the politics, the politicians. But it's not about appeasing. Okay, so this is what some people get wrong. It's not about the developers wanting to be politically correct. It's about the developers not being developers at all. It's about the developers being activists. So when activists make a game, it usually ends up badly because they're just interested in the political side of the game, and they're not interested in the mechanics, the gameplay, the art style, the story, the immersion. They're just interested in their political activism and spreading their message, and that's the big problem. I've never seen a game made by activists that was good. Tell me a game made by activists that you know is good. So yeah, the faces, the clothes. As Gomez no longer even have going to buy anything and start making stuff from canvas, scrap from the floor sacks. Censor the game, I censor my wallet. Let's just read through some of these comments, and then there are some other topics, and at the end of these topics the developers actually replied, and they don't realize they're actually brewing a bigger scandal. This will destroy the game, and I am completely on board with other people not buying the game because it's a huge red flag. And I mentioned so many reasons. Again, developers that make games are welcome, but if activists make games and they only care about the message and destroying or butchering the IP and then calling it a remake, no, that will not work for me. That will not work at all for me. I'm pretty sure the game will be bad if the developers are so weird about this. I mean, come on. It was not even that bad, and most people will not even notice this. Go to my ignore list, and again, so upset. Why? Why did I have to read about this? Woke is trash, I agree with that. Okay, and then at the end, like I said, the developer responded to all of this for 166 level on Steam, so I guess he must really like video games, but let's see what he said. Putting all these topics in one place because what? This is blasphemy. I mean, I'm a Christian, I don't mind with gamers saying stuff like this, but when you put something like this in this context, this is clearly blasphemy, and I'm kind of sick of it as well. He could have just said anything else. The language is actually very flexible, the English language is flexible. He could have said anything else, but he sounds so upset and he has to bring in some blasphemy because what? Well, to be honest, if you are going to this topic, Jesus Christ actually didn't care about how women were clothed or how women looked, if you remember from the Bible. He actually didn't have a problem with how people looked or what their profession was. He just wanted people to be nice, in more or less. So let me make this very clear to everyone. That's probably his tone. I imagine he was typing like that, and he had a face that he would bite through wood if he had a piece of wood in his mouth. That's the face I'm imagining he's making. If you have real concerns about the models of our game, we are more than happy to hear from you in a constructive manner. This toxic hostility, what do you mean? In a constructive manner, this toxic hostility. Where is the toxicity? Where is the hostility? Because what is wrong with some of these people? I understand you are breaking the rules of the forum, but it's very clear what people are saying. They don't like the new models because they're not faithful to the old models. So he's upset about the toxic hostility because the feedback is not to his liking, because the feedback doesn't respect his political agenda. His activism is blocked by the people's desires to have a remake and by the people's passion for gaming. This toxic hostility will not work and I will purge the forums for it. What do you mean? Trust me, these people are actually... They have a big problem with other people living in the planet. If you're going to tell me that a developer from a game is well, let's say like this: if a developer has to deal with toxic hostility from other people not liking certain models in the game, and he'll purge the people on the forums for it, that's like basically this guy is telling me that he will not respect anyone else's opinion and he will purge the forums if he has to. This is so mind-boggling, it's so mind-blowing. I mean, people just want to be heard, and that's it. If they would have just left the topic in peace, it would have not been such a big problem. But no, he had to come over here and say that this toxic hostility will not work on the development team, the studio, and they will purge the forums for it. We have shown time and time again that we listen to feedback, so present your feedback in a constructive manner and we listen. Why? Why does feedback have to be constructive? If you're driving a car on a road and the road has holes in it and you destroy your car because of the holes, you say the road is, you know, it's what it is. It's feedback. Any feedback is feedback. Come on, why is it this so hard? So you have to be polite about them not respecting the material or the stuff we like. Now, all the trolls farming clown emotes, because they post the same stuff on every game for clickbait, you'll get removed real fast. So basically, you'll purge the forum, you'll ban anyone that doesn't offer criticism. Come on, it's all in a forum like this, it's all about having the topics of discussion. So if the forum has activity, it's good for everyone, but no. He will purge everyone that shows toxic hostility. He will remove every troll farmer. What are you talking about? This is clearly feedback. Okay, straight to the ignore list. I delete, so look at this. Should do it the ignore list. Moderators deleted my previous post. No rules are broken. Gamers should be able to share their thoughts on this and be giving this developer publisher any more of my money. Searching your name, including the other post, no search results are found. And then someone says you have deleting everyone posts, and then he said he deleted 3 posts from this guy. One for the first topic, the other one for reposting and breaking Steam guidelines. He also signs his name even though it's... These people are so out of touch. He needs to sign his name even though it's clear that he's a developer. Or usually these people are from... Again, not to say anything bad about the developers, usually these people are from the publisher. The publishers have a rule that they will reinforce their politics. And I had some issues with people like this in the past as well, because usually the publisher will put an activist in charge of moderation, which is the worst thing they can do, but they still do it. This is probably someone from the publisher who works as a moderator, but is actually an activist in disguise, sent by NGOs or other people. I'm sad well aware it's cringe, but I do it for the search options. I take care of millions of players and sometimes 200s of posts. This is like that other guy. This has been a constant repeating affair in many games like this, where the publisher has an activist that is a so-called moderator and he just makes a lot of scandals and he's never fired. People like this, I remember another publisher who had a developer like this who became very famous for all of the wrong reasons, and then nothing happened to him because he kept... These people never lose their jobs when they make mistakes like this. And they're just continuously dragging down the gaming industry. I think lately Ubisoft said that gamers don't like to play games anymore or something like that. Super cringe does make a lot easier when you have to backtrack what you worked on. He considers this work, so he considers purging the forums work. Okay, that's his kind of everything they need to say. An 18 plus classic. Yeah, so he wants a DLC for this. I don't think the developers will say something about this. It will never work. It doesn't work. It will never work. Don't mess with the models. And he also recommends joining this close code. Okay, we'll read that topic as well. I just want to make a full presentation of the situation because all of this will be deleted or it will explode, and I just want to offer both sides of the coin, as you can see. I'm still pretty upset. If the topic is valid and doesn't break the guidelines, there's no reason to merge them. They should stay together. Merging them is a tool we use at any given point if they're out opposed to the same topic. I've done this again. Yeah, exactly. So he's from the publisher, a moderator that is actually an activist in disguise. Lock away trolls baiting or breaking guideline posts. Does he have any proof that every time he does this it's because it's breaking guidelines, or does, again, when you make statements like this you need to offer a lot more proof. Why are you playing the game? Why not really talk about it? Did you remove the painting on the woman on top of the ore baron throne? Where are the slave women in general? Is this game being made for children, or do you think adults are unable to handle slaves in a made-up fantasy thing? When do we see women? They are indistinguishable from men. And this is exactly what I said. This is how all women in the game will look like, even though they don't really have a lot of women, but I have a feeling we'll have a lot more right now, and this is one of the problems that developers confirmed. We'll have a lot more women in the camps, in all of the camps probably. You made them ugly for no reason. That's exactly what the problem is. Why do they have to make them ugly? They can just give them clothes and just make them pretty. Because, trust me, if they would bring ugly women in a prison camp that is in full riot and is controlled by the prisoners, they would not even look at them. They would send them back where they came. So I imagine the elevator would go down to the woman, and the prisoner would just say, nah, it's fine, keep them. The elevator will just go back with the woman. Why sanitize and uglify everything? Are virtual women going to feel objectified or something? Just give people a nice looking game. Why is that so hard? So he's aware of your concern. It's a bit hard to add it as feedback. So sadly we have to play the game. What? And make sure it's included in the discussion with people who make those. So where is the reply to his feedback and suggestions? So this, it's kind of like, you know, that old saying I have, or what the developers used to do. If you want to offer feedback, offer it on Discord. On Discord they can ignore it a lot better, right? Dude, come on. So if they offer feedback, it will get ignored at best, and if they don't offer good feedback according to the moderator, then they'll just delete or log the topic. Criticism isn't toxicity, stop silencing feedback. No, let's see what he says more. Was ruined, and this is the problem with stuff like this. If people want to have a discussion and there are a few people who are trolls, then they log the topic or delete the topic. This is called collective punishment, and I've seen it so many times. These are not professional moderators, they're just activists, like I keep saying. If 100 people participate in a discussion and 10 of those people are trolls and they're making the wrong statements and they're just saying bad things, you don't delete the topic or lock away it. Because you're just punishing everyone who was engaged in that discussion for no reason. And collective punishment is so bad, I don't even want to. Just search collective punishment on Google and see what you find. Toxic behavior and hostility is toxic. What do you mean? I have said toxic behavior and hostility is toxic. Toxic behavior and hostility is toxic. What? And derailing people's topics. But you're the moderator is the toxic one, because if someone has a topic that is derailed, he deletes the topic or logs away the topic. Which is silly, because he's being toxic to the original people who are actually trying to engage in a discussion. This is unbelievable. You cannot make this stuff up. I mean, where is the justice for the people who had their topics derailed by trolls, and then a moderator came along and locked it or deleted it? What? No, they don't listen to feedback. They actually destroy all feedback if someone derails it, as they say. Big difference. Row lines 2 was completely destroyed. Yes. Yes, I agree with that. I guess people are just more of it over here, but let's read more about this moderator over here from the publisher team. Publisher is THQ Nordic. So you cannot post the same thing a couple of times because it's against the Steam guidelines or whatever. And he's just offering very, very plastic responses right now, and I don't like that. Let's just say that you don't want this to be discussed over here. Yeah, they have a topic of discussion that will also get locked or deleted in a few minutes, probably, or in a few hours. Wrong place for discussion. Make another topic. Okay, yeah, sure. So he's just pointing people where they can discuss their feedback. Oh boy. Yeah, you cannot make this stuff. At least he's not banning people outright, but then again, you never know who's banned. I only saw one name that was banned. An official statement regarding the censorship allegation and turning females into male-looking persons. Straight up toxic if this is if it's an honest problem or something like that. I might still buy it. I just don't know if this is clearly a political decision or what. Okay. The topic blew up. A video about it. Yeah. There's no way that's enough time to gather relevant comments, present them, and publishing teams have them discussing. They didn't have time to respond to this. Well, they had. Dude, they have been working on this game for 5 years. They had a lot of time to explain their decisions. They can explain their decisions in 5 minutes because it's been the product of a lot of years of work, and that's what bothers me. They're pretending they're only working on the game for a year or so, or something like that. He's gathering all of the constructive feedback post. Oh, what do you mean? Constructive, negative feedback, constructive, positive feedback. So this is out of touch with the real world. Nobody. It's like you're discussing with the HR department, right? The studio has always listened to feedback and made a lot of changes based on community feedback. I'm not worried. We'll do have a lovely evening. Oh yeah, he's such a polite person, isn't he? Yay, someone who can have a civil discussion. With professional details on concern. So the close. So he presented the feedback. Again, tell me your feedback on Discord so I can ignore it better, right? Voicing your concerns, however, would ask... I would ask you to avoid words like uglification. So he offered his feedback and the feedback is moderated because he has to avoid words like uglification and censorship. As that is not all that is happening and it will lead to toxic and hostile discussion, which I'm not sure you wish. Could you fix some specific... This is crazy. So you cannot offer negative feedback because you cannot discuss these topics and you have to present them in a constructive manner. How can you offer constructive negative feedback in a matter that will not be viewed as toxic hostility if this is how the developers, or this is how the... I'm probably sure the developers also think like this, if this is how the moderators behave. Presenting your concerns constructively and politely without toxic undertones or hostility, just like you would in real life. What? I mean... Again, this is all nonsense. I'm not bothered reading all of that. Oh, what? Wait, it said something else over here that is probably important to the bigger discussion. I'm not just a monitor, but I'm related with both. So he's not just a moderator. Okay, that kind of throws my whole argument out of the window because it's not just a moderator, it's actually part of the team. Not a moderator, but not Alchemy either. So he's not a moderator from the publisher, but not... How does this work? I mean, come on. So yeah, it's exactly like I was expecting. The developers are activists. Simple as that. If he's not a moderator, but also not from the studio, he's a developer from the publisher who works with the development team, and they're all working on the same things with the same ideas and plans. Toxicity was unacceptable towards people who had real concerns, but also towards other... What? This is crazy. They're protecting the users now. Softcore adult content, what? For to the people. Okay, let's just read the last page again. This will get locked tomorrow for sure. Why the remake is different? I think such a setting would delay the production a lot. Okay, this is all nonsense. I am so tired of this. I'm definitely not going to buy the game, and I'm also going to very, very restrictively buy games from THQ Nordic. I also had a lot of bad feelings and red flags about this game, but this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So the game is being made by the same people who made Avowed, who made all of the other games that we had so many issues. The industry is not learning. They will only learn once they lose their jobs. And as you can see, it's not even the people who are making the game responding on the forums, because they have no creative freedom on their game. Their game direction is dictated by the HR department in all of these publishers, which means this will be another woke game in my opinion, and that seems sad because, as you can see, not only does it modify a big chunk of the game, it also dictates how the models will look. So all of the male and female characters will look bad. They'll also be trying to be very, very modern and polite. It's crazy because this is a setting where everyone is a prisoner by their own will or forced prisoner. I'm not even going to try and discuss the topic of the game story, the game's lore. The game never was supposed to have such a huge lore anyway. It was just made and it had a lot of success, so they made more of it. Big red flag. Okay, I'm going to bed. Bye bye.